F. Knowles, but his wrestling name is
Alex Keitel.
I like the new ring gear and stuff like that. Now, Alex was like on a pretty good hot streak, getting booked everywhere, showing up on everyone's YouTube pages and channels. I think your phone's actually blowing up with like followers and friend requests and everything else.
It has been.
So you got a good gimmick, is hitting with people, and then you broke your freaking toes and foot and ankle and probably your brain too.
Just my foot.
Yeah, we don't know what's wrong with your brain. You know, maybe you're born with it.
That goes back way before wrestling.
It started in the 5th grade where they're like, don't eat the Play-Doh. And I'm like, I'm going to eat the Play-Doh.
Yeah, exactly. Tasted like candy.
It tasted like. You know, the first Play-Doh to be released was just dyed elephant dung.
Was it really?
No, I'm just messing with you.
Well, it will now be known as dyed elephant dung.
Dyed elephant dung. Hey, get the kids out the elephant dung. All right, so what shows have you worked? Who have you met? Just let's hear some more stories, my man.
So, I mean, most recently I've been doing a lot of work for FNW, Friday Night Wars, based out of the Landmark Arena, which is ran by Azrael Greenway, who is, as many of you know, former NWA Wildside heavyweight champion, former Anarchy champion, just a great all-around guy. He's one of my trainers, just a great guy. If you're looking to get into the business, he's the person to talk to for sure. Not
to interrupt you, but is he going to get invited back for the NWA Power Show that's going to be on Fightful?
I do not know.
Okay, so go ahead. I'm just curious.
So I've been there. I've done a lot of out-of-state stuff. I've been up in Tennessee a lot lately, which is a really fun territory to work. Was on Southern Fried a few months ago. It's a lot of fun. But that's pretty much just what I've had going on lately, and then I've been talking to some other promoters that I've had to cancel due to a injury that could not happen at the worst possible time.
Right.
So
you were on everyone's radar, and now you got to take a seat. I mean, it's probably good, you know, because they still want you. You know, you're not really having to start over. They just know that, like, you know, we got this guy, and when he's back, we're going to book him. You know, so that's fine.
Well, and that's the situation I'm in. I've already been talking to some promoters, and, you know, I've had some promoters that were a little bitter. They're like, we were counting on you, we were wanting you, why'd you have to get hurt? But then I have just as many that have been saying stuff along the lines of, hey, once you're better, once you're back, we want you here.
Yeah.
Keep us posted. So it's been...
They're probably, like, they see your gimmick, and they see the marketability of it, and they're going to probably like, hey, sign this, let's sell some merch, let's make some money. That's not a bad thing. That's a great thing.
Oh, it's a great thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But, yeah. And you showed me some of the matches you got recorded, and I want to post those throughout the week after this goes up. It's going to be great. You've been wrestling with a lot of local heroes, but you've been rubbing elbows with some big shots, too.
A little bit, yeah. I can't really go into a ton of details, but I've been learning a lot of stuff from a lot of people lately that's really been paying off. So
yeah, so people that's worked for Vince and has been in Tony Khan's little racket. We're not dropping names, so no contracts are hurt. But you can imagine who.
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot of learning experiences lately and just paying off.
So tell us about the injury. What's going on there?
So basically what happened is move I've done hundreds of times, no problem. Just went sideways with my timing being off, and I have 2 broke bones in my foot. Recovery time is looking about 10 weeks with rehab. I'll find out what my rehab's going to look like here in about a week's time from here. But at this point, it's just having to nurse it and let it heal, but that doesn't mean I'm stopping. I'm still working on some videos and some editing and stuff, so...
Well, that's good. Yeah, I've seen some of your marketing on TikTok and other posts like that.
Man, TikTok's where it's at now.
Is it?
I get more views with a 20-second TikTok video than I do with a 2-minute promo sometimes on Facebook.
I'm going to have to start uploading stuff to TikTok. That's fine.
These kids ticking their damn talk.
What are you doing there, Billy? Are you looking at the tickety-talks? The tic-tacs?
Tic-tacs.
What are you doing on the tic-tac? Oh, jeez. I'm going to have to probably market this podcast on TikTok. I've become that person.
Will plug it
look at this TikTok. It's pretty cool, bro.
We will plug this on TikTok.
I have to do that stupid hot sauce challenge to get Mr. Beast's attention. And, like, I'm banking some videos. Like, I've done 6 so far. I got 3 more sauces at home. Oh, when I did the 6, you know, I did it like 6 days in a row and recorded it. and like I got to do one today and tomorrow and whatever. But like I haven't pooped pretty well in a while. It's all been hot.
Fun. So fun.
And I got the world's hottest beef jerky and the world's hottest cashews, and I ordered the world's hottest lollipop that I'm doing with another YouTuber. It's just a lot of fun. A lot of pain, but a lot of fun.
Well, you heard it here first, people. Mr. Beast, notice Car Baby.
Please.
He is messing up his poop schedule to get your attention.
Just flaming hot, steamy. Like, you know those guys, they get to Taco Bell and they're like, do you want sauce? And they're like, yeah, I need a lot of sauce. And they put like too much hot sauce on their Taco Bell and they're like, oh, tummy hurts now. That's how I feel all the time.
Well,
so
the things we talk about, Noah.
I don't care. I really don't. I really don't. Like, for one second it's insightful, another second it's like educational, and then it's just
and then we're talking about hot sauce poop.
Hot sauce poop. So
I think we found the name of this episode of
the hot sauce poop. The broken foots and hot sauce poops.
Exactly.
So when you get back to 100%, what's the plan? What's the goal?
Just to hit the ground running and not hold back any longer. I mean, not a lot of people know this, but I actually contracted the plague.
You got the
Rona.
The Rona.
I had the Rona back in December.
The COVID.
And I was out for about 2.5 weeks, and just the 2.5 weeks killed me. So I'm about a week into this current stint of being out, and when I came back from the plague, I was more motivated than I've been in a while. So it's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be me coming back and having to hit it even harder and even faster than I was before to make up for lost time, because people can talk about, I'm going to get here, I'm going to get there, but at the end of the day, there's a limited number of spots, and I'm not going to do anything to give away my spot.
Yeah, you got to fight for it. Absolutely. So you got Anarchy pretty much locked down. So when I
wouldn't say locked down. I was able to get up there once, but that's something I'm working towards in the future.
Right. I mean, you're taking training there, even while you're injured. You're taking their classes. You're putting in a lot of efforts. I think they'll have you back soon.
That's the plan. It all depends on how I'm looking post-injury, in-ring, and how everything's going on that front.
OSWA would gladly have you whenever.
Yeah, if they end up running again, that's somewhere I'd love to be back at. Yeah. So,
what's your goal? Like, are you going to save up the audition at NXT? Do you want to end up on Dark one day? What's going on?
I mean, my goal is to get wherever I can get, where I can make a living at this, whether that be getting up to NXT, AEW, or even if I can do what some guys are able to do now and just live off indie money and making... I mean, there's people that have bought mansions off indie money at this point, so...
I don't know why, what's-his-face came to mind, the guy who got canceled.
Joey Ryan. Yeah. That's exactly who I was thinking about.
Yeah. He made that post. He's like, I've made $10 million off my indie money, and I bought a mansion. And then, like, the week later, he's canceled. So, sell the mansion, Joey. So, where was I going with that? Me personally, when I, get over my injuries and personal stuff and get back in shape, as much as I would love to hang out, because I know a lot of the indie guys that go on Dark and stuff. Me and you've both seen these guys wrestle, all over creation.
I've been in the ring with a lot of them.
Yeah. But still, I would want to go to the training camp in NXT and kind of be in that atmosphere, right? You get your little apartment near the performance center. You go and train every day. You take your classes, and then you get to be on NXT TV. And if NXT ever starts doing shows again,
yeah,
you're there. You're traveling with the team.
Well, I mean, and I think for me, though, I think both companies would be a great place to work and great opportunities with both companies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I kind of like, and I know we've talked about this on failed recordings, how wrestling is coming back bigger than ever, but it's living online. It's not really a TV thing. It's kind of the underground part is getting really big, but the mainstream stuff doesn't get much attention because it's kind of drab and overdone. The shows are good, for the fans, but really, being on YouTube is the way to be, because the indie shows on YouTube get millions and millions of people watching it and stuff. And you're even on some of those shows that are online.
I have been on some online shows, and that's been a lot of fun, just learning, how to work the camera and going with stuff like that and just learning how to do more stuff. So
you wrestled that luchador guy that had did you have that match?
No, that match never happened.
Okay.
So,
but who was that guy?
Blanco Loco.
Yeah, because he's been on AAA and all that other stuff.
He's been everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done AEW, he's done 205 Live, NXT, he's done everything. Great in-ring talent.
Yeah, and he's got those mean chops with his big old hands.
Those things are insane.
So, who's an indie guy right now? Because I can be like, who's somebody in the big leagues you want to wrestle? And we all know you're going to say John Cena. But but who's an indie guy right now you'd like to go like meet up with, have a match with, train with? No disrespect, obviously, to Asheville.
That's a really hard question to ask. Actually, I mean, I'd have to say David Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked out with him some. We've hung out some. He's a great, really down to earth guy who he's finally starting to get some of the recognition that he's been deserving for a long time. So
for people who don't know who he is, give a little explanation.
David Ali is the current Southern Honor Champion. He has appeared on AEW Dark and AEW multiple times.
I've seen him on Dark because I like to watch that religiously. It comes on when I'm at work, and I put it on the break room TV and give it a little looky-loo, you know what I'm saying?
Looky-loo.
He's like, are you doing work? I'm like, yes. Even I'm watching Dark. But anyway, where was I going with this? I keep losing my train of thought. So, explain people your gimmick. What you look like, who you are. I'm probably going to take a picture if you send me one of you in full gear, and I'll add it on here. So, but the main picture is going to be me posing with your broken foot.
Yeah, probably. So the gimmick is basically it's a work shoot. I mean, it's a real gimmick for me. It is based upon the fact of my first 3 years in the business. I had a crappy attitude and I made a whole lot of enemies, and that was on me. But it led to me having a lot of heat and a lot of people just picking on me and bullying me until I finally decided, you know what? If they're gonna pick on and bully me, I'm just gonna prove them all wrong. And basically what I've just had to do is I've basically turned that up to 11 and basically said, you know what, if this is driving me crazy, why not let it drive me crazy in the ring? So it's basically just built out of
your real life experience.
It is, 100%.
And I think that's really bad in the underground wrestling community is all these old timers and people who are like holding on desperately to their spot. They see all these new talents come in and they're like almost threatened. Because they're either like hitting that age where they need to consider retiring, or they're these young champions who like they're the champion in their spot, their arena, but nowhere else, and they never quite hit the big leagues, and they just take it out on you guys. Like it's almost like a hazing or something.
Well, I wouldn't even say that because I made a lot of bad decisions and treated a lot of people and had the wrong attitude for the first little bit. So some of it was brought on me, but my mentality with that is, if someone wants to come and take my spot, if they're able to come in and take my spot, then I don't deserve it. Because I'm a firm believer in you earn what you get. I don't believe that anyone should be handed anything in this business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if someone's...
Unless you're Goldberg.
Unless you're Goldberg, yes. Then you're just undefeated.
Yeah.
But if somebody comes up to me and says, hey, I want your spot, I'll tell them, by all means, come and take it. But just know you're going to have the fight of your life and have to outwork one of the hardest working people in the room to take that spot.
Explain to people who like wrestling or aren't underground wrestling fans, like what happens when someone's trying to take your spot or take your spot? Like what happens? What are they doing to do that?
I mean, it's just basically outworking the other person. I mean, my thing is I am very much able to pride myself on my work ethic.
Yeah.
And that my goal whenever I walk into a locker room is to be the hardest working person in that room.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let other people's opinions stop me from said hard work.
So you show up and you wrestle whoever they ask you to wrestle. You show up on time and you just put on the best performance you can, and you really make an impact to the people running the show.
Exactly. I mean, I think someone said something really wise to me. The most important thing to make people do is care about what you're doing. Because the chairs are only facing one way. People will watch what you're doing. It's about making them care about watching what you're doing.
So, I saw an interview, and I think it was Dolph Ziggler, right? And they were asking all these questions. This was right after spring cleaning last year when they fired like 30 people or whatever. And they asked him, like, oh, were you worried about getting fired? And he's like, no, if it happens, it happens. And they were asking him, like, if they bring Heath Slater back because they brought back Jinder Mahal, and then they brought back Drew, and both of them became champions. And he just said, Seth Rollins is everyone's favorite wrestler in WWE right now, but every wrestler's favorite wrestler is Heath Slater because he's such a good person.
Yeah.
So
I remember that interview. That was a really good interview.
Yeah. So not only do you have to win over the fans, you got to win over the locker room. You got to work with everybody on that kind of stuff. Work with the team. My trainer, Micah Taylor, he trained me when I was 18. He trained me for 2 years before he went and started wrestling for Japan and everything. He told me, I'm referring back to what you said, it's just a part of you that you're amplifying to 11.
Yeah.
Because I told him, I was like, oh, my gimmick, I'm going to have like red gear, and it's going to look like I'm angry, and it's going to be dirty, like red tie-dye. And he's like, that's not who you are. Your gimmick should be your personality cranked up to 1,000. So that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think something my trainer, who, if you don't know who I am, I was trained by Azrael out of Wrestling Ludus, based out of the Landmark Arena.
Yeah.
Former NWA's been everywhere and done pretty much everything at this point in the business.
I hope he shows up on Power, but we'll see.
That would be awesome. But the thing he told me is in-ring work is great, but you will get booked just as much off your character as you will your in-ring work. Mm-hmm. He has, in my opinion, one of the greatest minds in this business to learn from and to focus from, and just to sit there and absorb under him. It's a great thing to learn from. So
that's pretty good. Do you see him taking any big gigs or anything? Or do you think he's happy just being a coach?
I mean, he's one of those people. He plays everything very, very close to the chest. So that's one of those things we'll just have to wait and see where he pops up.
That's how Micah was.
Brokishi.
I tagged with Brokishi after I did the 2 years of training, and what's it called in Japan? The Young Lions or whatever?
Yes.
I was his Young Lion. I carried his suitcases. I bought lunch. I paid for gas.
The Green Boys. I was the butler.
And we did a Royal Rumble match at TNT Mountain Wrestling. And I was supposed to go out there at number 5, and Brokishi went in at 4. And the plan was, because he was going to be the third to last person in, right? So I was supposed to go in there and demonstrate how much of a monster he was. I was supposed to run into the ropes and then run into him, but I wasn't supposed to hit him. He was just going to pick me up and throw me out of the ring. I start running, and all of a sudden, the rando guy that they just like, some young boy like me who was wearing a mask, jumps on Rikishi's back, distracts him. And so I run up, and then he just turns around, and he's looking at the young boy, and I run into his back and fall down. So basically, both of us young boys are just blindsiding Rikishi, not making him look like a monster. So I do it again. I was like, aha. So I give him a chop across the chest, and I run back into the ropes, and he just hits me with a stiff clothesline. And I fall like... That was the hardest fall in a ring I've ever taken. Like, it shook the arena, shook the ring. Mm-hmm. Then he picks me up and he throws me through the ropes, so I wasn't eliminated. So I climb back in, acting like I'm all injured, and like I had to climb over the top rope, and I'm kind of like sitting on it, and my foot touches the other side. Then he just punches me, and I fall back out. And the ref had to carry me like, oh, I'm injured, to the back of the ring.
Yeah, those bumps are always fun.
So I failed at my mission, but the promoter took us out for margaritas and tacos afterwards.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Instead of hot dogs and handshakes, you got margaritas and tacos.
Yeah. But Rikishi was mad at me because after I got thrown out, I had to get out of my ring gear and go to our merch table and sell like autographed photos and stuff. And nobody bought anything. You drive the mag, like, you got to get gas, man, when you didn't sell a damn thing. Do you have a funny wrestling story? Because that's one of my favorites.
Oh, let's see. So I can actually think of one, and you were actually ringside for this one with me. It was OSWA about 2 years ago.
Was it when Hollow kicked that lady in the face?
It was, but it wasn't even. That was the same night, but no. So we were. I had been face at that company since I started, and I'd been there for about 1.5 years at that point.
Okay.
And we had wanted to turn me heel because I was getting pretty over as a baby face, but just it was getting stale. Mm-hmm. So this old vet in the locker room, Brian Gordy Love, some of you might know him. Noah's shaking his head because he knows where this story is going.
Oh, God.
We were going through what we wanted to do and how we wanted me to turn here. We are 100% killing the business today, by the way. Killing the business. We're the Young Bucks.
Ooh.
Super kick party. But, so we had talked about, I could hit you with a kick and say I was aiming for the other guy and then do it again the second time. And he's like, nah, brother, give me an unprotected chair shot to the head.
I hated that.
And we looked at
hated
each
watching
other.
that. That was gross.
But the problem was...
His head's still misshapen from that shot.
It is. I haven't seen him in a while. That might be why. He might still be dealing with the concussive symptoms from it. But he had told me, I'm like, did you okay that by the promoter and booker? He said, absolutely, brother. I'll handle everything. We have the match. We turn on him. I hit him. I get back through the curtain. The promoter was standing there waiting on me. He's like, why'd you hit him in the face unprotected? And I'm like, he told me to. He said he talked to you. And he went, no, I would have not have okayed that. He's 60 years old. But then when Gordy came to the back and he was alive, and I mean, it got me it got me a lot of heat very instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hit someone that looks like the everyday grandfather with a chair.
That was the show. Oh, before I jump to what I did in the show, which was so stupid. I was watching a 2 versus everyone match on YouTube. It was Randy Orton and John Cena versus an entire Raw locker room, right? They edited out all the chair shots in the match because they were unprotected. And after that one with Cody taking it from Shawn Spears, they're like, it's done. You can never do that ever again. So, like, you're might be the last person, like, in a long, long time to, like, do that.
No, it's happened a lot to people now.
Oh,
is it the safest thing to do? No.
Well, yeah, no, obviously not. Oh, so at that show, who was I turning on? I was someone's manager.
Me. You were with me.
Oh, that's right.
Because we did the Cody Rhodes, Hardcore Holly, Ted DiBiase turn from Night of Champions 2008. The tag match started, it was me and Brian Gordy Love against a guy named Ryan Staples, and he had said his partner was going to be there eventually.
Yeah.
And about halfway through the match, this guy comes out in dress clothes and jumps up on the apron, and we're like, who are you? You're not a wrestler. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. And you just happened to be right there to hand me the chair. Mm-hmm. And that was a fun match. That
was interesting. There was a part, I guess you didn't see it. I put I was like, oh, tag me in. I'm in the corner. Yeah. And I put my foot up in the corner, and I guess you were out of the match. And, like, my foot was up because I was waiting for someone to throw in the corner. And I think Ryan Staples, like, runs up to the corner and sees it, and he just stops. And he's like, no. And turns around. So I'm just standing there with my foot up in the air like, well, I'm an idiot.
I remember that because I was in the match. I wasn't the legal man at that point, though. I do remember another highlight of that match was a certain manager kicking a camera girl right in the face.
Oh, jeez. Holly rolls out of the ring, and I was there with another YouTuber, and when he rolls out...
Should we plug her channel?
I'm going to anyway.
Retromantic.
Yeah. She's going to be on this show. We're doing a podcast in a few days, but she's getting her retaining wall at her house fixed.
Oh, fun.
She wanted to come, but, it's whatever. Anyway... Yeah, he rolls out and just slices her face with his pointy dress shoes as he rolls out. And luckily, there was there was tons of children there. They just weren't standing there. They weren't. They're smarter than Retromantic, apparently.
Children are smart enough to stay away from Matt Hollow.
Yeah.
I wish more adults would be. We love you, Matt. We really do.
No.
But you're fun to make fun of.
No. So he's not listening. That's who cares. I guess we're just doing war stories now.
I guess we are.
Let's just do that. So I'm reffing this match. This whole show. No, they hired 5 referees. None of them showed. I show up as a manager and some dummy tag team. Brokishi invited me, but his tag match turned into a single match. It's because the other person's tag team partner didn't show up. So I was just going to be like his ring person or whatever. So I just show up in a tap-out shirt with the sleeves cut off, a straw cowboy hat, and denim booty shorts.
That sounds like a 100% indie Georgia wrestling show.
Yeah. So it was in like one of those cattle auction things. Mm-hmm. So it's just dirt everywhere. There was no pads outside the ring. So when they would roll out, they would track in dirt. So every match, somebody would have to run out and sweep all the dirt out of the ring. So they asked me to ref like a match, and it was going to be a gauntlet match because they were just struggling. They didn't have. They had a guy change outfits twice for the gauntlet match. He came in as the speedy wrestler or whatever.
I've had to do multiple gimmicks and matches before.
So their main guy was someone doing a Roddy Piper thing. He was wearing a kilt while he wrestled and all that. But he was like real short. He was like 5'4". And I didn't know. You poor foot. Your toes look like they're going to pop off. They're so swollen.
They do.
Okay. So I didn't know because the guy who was doing multiple gimmicks, he'd already done it twice. And I didn't know there was one more person because I thought there was 5 people in the gauntlet match, but it was 6. They made that guy do 3 gimmicks. So I went to raise the Irish guy's hand, and he low blows me. And I roll out of the ring, and they send someone else in the referee shirt. It was one of the wrestlers that was in the gauntlet match. Then after that, the Sandman just showed up, and he was just talking to people. He was backstage, like, "Yo, remember me? I'm the Sandman from EC Dubs."
Sandman.
I
like to drink beer and smoke cigarettes.
Yes. But yeah,
I think I have a multiple gimmick night story, and I think you might have been in the crowd for this. So the show, it's Old School Wrestling Alliance, great company to work for. They're shut down right now, but hopefully they will run again. If you're listening to this, Bobby Popham, we miss OSWA.
I miss Bobby because I invited him to go out to eat. I was like, "Hey, me and Liz wants to take you and your woman out to eat if y'all can like find a babysitter and stuff." Since he has a baby.
He does have a baby.
And he's like, if I can find one, I'll message you back. So, big sad. But anyway, tell me your story about OSWA.
So, we had gotten there that night, and they had wanted me to do multiple they pride themselves on being a family-friendly show. So, we had, sorry, words are hard right now.
You got this.
They used wrestling Power Rangers.
Oh, the owner dressed up as the ninja guy,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
He had multiple gimmicks as well, but I get there, and I had a singles match as me, Drew Knowles at the time, but the first match was a 4-way for a championship opportunity in the main event that night. And it was 3 guys, and then it said Red Power Ranger. And I was talking to the promoter, and I said, who's we were making conversation, like, so who's the Red Power Ranger? I'm like, oh, I didn't tell you, it's you. So I literally was in the first match. There were, I think, 5 matches that night. I was in the first match in a red Power Ranger morph suit, had to run to the locker room, took off the morph suit, had my Drew Knowles tights on under it, was in the second match as me, I had a 1-match break, was in the third match as me, had intermission, had another match break, and then I was in the main event as the Red Power Ranger again.
That's funny.
But I'll tell you what, I think the record goes to, that was my record, was I hit 3. I think my favorite story involving Noah, though, was we got booked for a double shot one night.
Oh, the charity event?
Yes, the charity event. We go to this charity event, and it's in an old auction bar. The match wasn't terrible. It was an okay match.
But the guy was drunk, wasn't he?
He was very, very intoxicated. So then we had
me and you show. I just want to brag. Me and you show up early. We're the first ones there. We practice in the ring. Then when people start showing up, we put on the gear, and like I put on my manager attire, and you got on your gear, and no one shows up for this charity event.
There were about 12 people, I want to think, in the crowd.
Yeah,
we won't mention the name of the promotion.
Yeah, we won't. I love, by the way, the 6-sided ring. Those are my favorite. Love it.
Terrible.
Those are the best. I know they're harder, but they're fantastic. So you're ready. Yeah. And they're just like, oh, I guess you're going to wrestle this guy.
Yeah, your match changed. Sorry, bro.
Yeah. So you're wrestling this rando who's been drinking all day, and he doesn't sell anything you do. And we had a spot where you throw him out the ring, you distract the ref, and I get in some blows. Well, I start hitting him, and he doesn't sell anything. So I really start stomping him. I'm like, yeah! I stomp him like 1,000 times, then throw him back in the ring. And you had to manhandle him to get the pin, didn't you? Because of how stiff and drunk he was.
Yeah, it was a shoot pin.
God.
But that wasn't the funny part of that night. So it was. I'm trying to think who all went on that car trip. It was you, me, and 2 people who will not be named.
Yeah, exes and such.
So we went from there, and we had another booking in a town about 20 minutes away.
Right.
We showed up to the other show, and they're like, oh, sorry, man, we forgot you were coming. We don't have anything for you.
And we just waited outside.
So then we went to Stoney's, and that was the worst experience I think any of us have ever had in a restaurant.
The food was so bad.
The food was terrible. Like, we all... Because if you've been to Stoney's is normally a really, really good restaurant.
Yeah. But
like, we had built this up to the people who shall not be named. Me and Noah did.
Exes and such.
We all get giant plates, pile it up, set it in front of us, and simultaneously we all took a bite.
And it was just
And we
bad.
looked at each other and we're like, we really have to pay for this.
I really want to like show my butt and be like, this is disgusting. We're not going to pay for this. You can call the cops.
But we did.
We just paid.
We just paid
and
to get out
left.
of there. And I think we ended up going to this sketchy McDonald's off some back road.
It was one of those like ghetto looking McDonald's, but they put those kiosks in it, and the whole place had graffiti on it, and it looked rough. It looked really rough. And we just got our food and left, and I was like, oh, this is an interesting ending to today.
I remember we were sitting, me and Noah were in the front seat, and the
exes and such
were in the back seat. That's what they will be referred to as, exes and such from now on. We looked at each other and we looked at them because they had just started coming around wrestling, and we just said, welcome to wrestling.
Yeah. It doesn't get any better than this.
And then
bad food and missed bookings.
Bad food and missed bookings. That could be another possible title for this podcast.
Bad food and missed bookings. So what was so weird is you were in the back, working your stuff, rubbing elbows, and they had a match go on throughout the entire show. And they were wrestling in the parking lot. Nobody was in the parking lot but us.
I remember that
They didn't quit selling at all. They just kept fighting. And the match never ended until the very end.
Well, that was the main event of the show.
What's that big guy's name? Rhino?
Drox.
Yeah, Drox.
Yeah. He's a great worker. Bookers, if you are not booking Drox, you are not doing something
You're an
right.
idiot! Let's see. How long have we done this? This is like the worst part. They're like, oh, they're just trying to stretch out the watch time.
We really aren't. This is how conversations normally go between me and Noah.
Yeah.
What other stories do we want? I can tell the gear malfunction story. I think you might have been here for this.
What was the gear malfunction story?
So I am working a tag match against Hoss Michaels and Jerry Nelms.
Is this when your testicles fell out of your trunks?
No.
Okay.
No, that has not happened to me yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that has happened to other people.
You keep wearing tight shorts and it's going to happen.
Exactly. No, so my gear had a rip in the crotch.
Okay.
And I didn't think twice about it. Well, I start wrestling and I had tucked my drawstring inside of my tights. And about halfway through the match, I hear a few fans start chanting tampon.
Oh,
and I'm wondering, why are they chanting tampon? And I take a bump and I look down as I'm bumping, and I just see this 2-foot long white string
Oh,
hanging out of the crotch of my tights.
no!
And to this day, there are still people that call me Tampon Boy.
This is a wrestling-related story, but I wasn't in the ring.
Okay.
Me and an ex and such, went to a comic book convention. Don't worry about it. They're gone. They're dead. You know?
They're dead to us.
When you're an ex and such, you're dead to us. That's how it is. And so we're at the comic book convention, and, you know, they had the list. They had the guy who did the voice of Doug, and they had the Power Ranger guy who was there. They had the lineup. And you walk into the lobby, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan's there. And he's not on the list or anything. He showed up and just put up a table. He wasn't invited. He was just there, which is my favorite thing. And he's like, oh, and he's selling 2x4s with his autograph on it. And he has like a list of like stuff you can do. For $100, you can take him out to dinner. So not only are you paying him $100, but you have to pay for his dinner too.
That is a veteran move right there.
I almost paid it. I was like, I gotta take Hacksaw Jim Duggan out to eat. But I was like, he's probably going to order the most expensive thing. I don't know if I can.
Was he going to carry the 2x4 with him? That's the question.
You know what? I bet if he threw in some money, he would.
He might have, yeah.
Yeah.
But then would you have had to pay extra for food for the 2x4?
No, unless he like drew a face on it like Plank or something.
That's the question.
But yeah, he was so fun to talk to and everything, and he didn't talk anything about wrestling, nothing about Andre the Giant. He kept talking about that show, the Legends House.
Yep.
That's all he would talk about, and I was like, oh, okay, I really don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about your career, but that's interesting.
That is very.
So my goal is, if I end up in AEW, because, you know, everyone's got a legend as their manager or whatever. I want Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Yeah.
That way you don't have to pay $100. See, this has all been one big scam to get out of.
Tony Khan is going to pay for me to hang out with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Do you have any, like, weird meeting people stories or anything? Meeting famous wrestlers?
Not really.
Big shots, big times?
Not really. I mean, I've met some, but not randomly like it was supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, not really.
I met Edge at Target.
You told me about this, actually.
So I took my bestie, my best friend, Liz. Hey, Liz.
Hey, Liz.
Hey, Liz Magoo.
We miss you, Liz.
So we're at Target, and she wants to get resistance straps.
Has Liz ever been on the podcast?
We did the Kit Kat Taste video together, and we did the New Year's video together, but she hasn't done the podcast.
We miss Liz over here.
Anyway, we're at Target. We're looking at resistance straps, and this ridiculously tall guy is standing next to me wearing a mask, and he's like, hey, that brand of resistance straps? That's what me and my wife use at home. I was like, thanks, man. And we're talking about the straps. He's like, I know it's a little bit pricier, but it's worth the money. I'm like, oh, yeah. And I just go, wait a minute. Who are you? Like the Kazoo kid in that video. And I noticed his mask got the WWE logo right in the corner of it. And he just looks at me when I didn't even say him like, oh my God, you're Edge. I just look at him with that look, and he looks at me, he turns around and walks away. I'm like, I know who you are. And he's like plugged in. I bet Beth. Wait, is he married to Beth Phoenix?
Yes.
She's probably with a buddy. He's like, we got to get out of here. They made me. You know, they figured me out. We got to go.
They found
the fanboys. They're here.
I don't know who you are, but I will find you, and I will ask for your autograph.
Well, you met AJ at Walmart one day.
I did, yes. That was fun. I met AJ at Target one time.
At Target?
Yes, it was at Target.
Okay.
What is it with us and running into WWE superstars at Target?
Obviously, that's the superior place to shop.
Obviously. Target sponsor us.
For the love of God. I would wear tights with the Target logo right on my penis.
Well, it's a circle, so that's not that hard. A circle with a dot in the middle.
Yeah.
That's what your penis already looks like.
Hey, wait a second.
And penis jokes galore here on the Car Baby Random podcast.
So, did I tell you, I know this is just boring war stories, but I think you guys enjoy it. You know, it's fun. Hear our life experiences. My dad met R-Truth.
Really?
At the airport, the Atlanta airport. But he didn't know it was R-Truth. He thought it was Wale the rapper. I wish I still had the picture, because he takes a picture with him. He's like, look, I'm with Wale the rapper. And it's clearly R-Truth. And I'm like, Dad.
Oh, I think There was a story that Stone Cold told on his podcast. No, it was Goldberg said on Stone Cold's podcast one time about how he was boarding an airplane and somebody saw his picture and they said, "Awesome, you're Stone Cold Steve Austin." It's like, right business, wrong person, genius.
I would just go with it. Just always go with it.
Well, that was in the middle of the Monday Night Wars when they were feuding.
No, don't go with it.
I think what Goldberg said is he looked at him and said, "Don't you have like an itinerary or something so you can look and see whose people's names are?" And he said the person stopped, looked down, and said, "I am so sorry, sir."
Oh, that's messed up. So when before I gained all this mass...
you are looking a little thick with multiple C's.
Lots of C's. This booty won't quit. I used to get mistaken for Chris Pratt a lot. And now that I've shaved and got a haircut, I really am starting to look like him again.
You do look like a Dollar General little hostess, little Debbie version of Chris Pratt.
Thanks there, MJF. I appreciate it.
I take offense to that. MJF, you are amazing.
Anyway, I'm eating at this fancy restaurant on a date, and the waitress walks up, and she does "Oh my God, you look like Chris Pratt. Are you Chris Pratt?" And she does "Oh, can I get your autograph and stuff?" And I just like, you know what? Go with it. For once, instead of just getting angry like, "No, I'm not Chris Pratt," I was like, "Yep, I'm him. I'm gaining weight for a role." And I signed the receipt, Chris Pratt, and I gave her an autograph. And if you go to this restaurant, it's in Highlands, North Carolina, they have the napkin pinned on the bulletin board, Chris Pratt written on it. And it's me!
See, now what would be funny is if Chris Pratt one day goes to said restaurant in Highlands and he's like, "I've never been here before."
His wife's like, "What is this?"
Chris Pratt's married?
Yeah, he married Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter.
That's right, he did. Because
they're related. They need to do an action movie together. Just for the heck of it.
But I think what should be in that action movie, he should not be like Star-Lord. He should be Andy from Parks and Rec with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, we do Terminator 12. And both Chris Pratt and Arnold are Terminators. And they're like, "Oh, I'll be back. We got to fight evil Terminators."
Now, I think what would be really funny, though, is to see Andy from Parks and Rec and Star-Lord have a conversation. That would be very funny.
It's probably on YouTube somewhere. Someone's probably clipped that video together and made it happen.
So I have a joke for you, Noah.
Lay it on me.
What do you call a fish with two knees?
I don't know.
A toonie fish.
I dislike that. It's not very good. I heard a joke the other day, and I don't know if I should say it out loud because it's pretty bad.
Go ahead and say it. This is the car.
I'm trying to remember it because I want to do it just right. It's a bit edgy, everybody.
Edgy. Mm-hmm. Well, we saw Edge in Target, so it's okay.
No, I'm not going to say it. I got to work on my material.
All that build up for that letdown, folks.
Well, you can watch my stand-up video when it comes out. Jesus.
Why would we want to do that? We want to keep our eyes.
Listen, if just one comedy club would reopen, I will wash your car. I will cook you breakfast. I will go to the governor's house and beg. Just open one. I have a notebook of 2 comedy specials I gotta record. Okay? Never did. Never got the chance. I mean, I also would like to wrestle again, but I keep injuring myself every time I try.
You do. Every time we get in the ring together, something goes sideways with you.
I've recently, from just working out and training, I've twisted my ankle. I'd pulled my back out of place and had to go to the chiropractor. What did I do? Oh, I fainted because I didn't eat that day and fell on my face.
So do we want to get back into this injury thing that we were talking about what happened with me?
Yeah. I guess we can talk about you loser.
You drove an hour to interview me.
I drove 50 minutes.
Okay. So I took the bump. Well, the thing was, this happened about 5 minutes into a 12-minute match.
Okay.
So, and it's the thing of, any of you that have ever been around a wrestling match, you know your adrenaline starts going from the time you go through the curtain until you come back through the curtain.
So when it hit and you feel it break, did you have enough adrenaline to like start finishing it, or did it hit instantly? You're like, I'm done.
I didn't even realize it was broken.
Oh, okay.
I had thought I had just landed bad, and it was one of those things where it felt like I just had a massive rush of blood to my feet. So I just thought, I'm fine, I just have to walk it off and I'll be fine. And we wrestled another 7 minutes.
Okay.
And we were second match. There were 9 matches that night. It was
Big
a
show.
super long show. We were second, so we had the match, went to the back, started cleaning, was there at the building till about 11, and then I went to work after the fact. And I was limping and I was sore, and then it just got to the point after being at work for a few hours, I wasn't able to put any weight on it. And I called my boss. I'm like, hey, I have to go to the hospital. I think I broke my foot. And I got to the hospital, and I'm still thinking, oh, it's just a sprain, nothing major. I was there for about 4.5 hours for them to tell me, yeah, you broke 2 bones in your foot. And they're like, what time did you... Keep in mind, this is about like 5 o'clock in the morning by this point that they're telling me this.
Yeah.
And they're like, what time did you say you did it? And I said, like about 8 o'clock last night. And they're like, and you're just now here? And I said, yeah, I thought I sprained it. But the moral of the story, kids, is Kurt Angle wrestled with a broken freaking neck. Alex Keitel wrestled with a broken freaking foot.
So that kind of reminds me of when Cody did the big AEW show in Atlanta, and Wardlow fractured his toe, and he didn't realize it until the next day.
Well, because it's one of those things, when you're in the ring and your adrenaline's going, you don't notice.
So, golly. And you finished the match.
I did. And we did all of our big stuff after that.
And then as soon as that adrenaline stopped pumping, you're like,
Yeah, that I was limping pretty bad.
I'm going to sign your dumb cast when we're done.
You will be the first. Nobody has wanted to sign my cast yet.
I'm taking your cast's virginity.
I got Vienna sausage toes right now.
Yeah, they look pretty ratchety. They're so swollen, they look like they're going to pop off.
They do.
All right, I think this is good. I feel like we've told war stories. We talked about the injury. Talked about prospects in the wrestling thing.
We've talked about poop schedule.
Poop schedules.
Hot sauce and poop.
Hot sauce and poops. X's and such. Hacksaw Jim Duggan being my manager.
How never go to the, what's the restaurant?
Stoney's?
Stoney's.
Don't go to Stoney's,
Don't
bro.
go to Stoney's in Royston, Georgia.
Hey, thanks for listening, team. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.